On February 27, 1993, the Waco Tribune-Herald published its first article in a series called The Sinful Messiah, which detailed a series of unfound claims against David Koresh, the leader of a religious group called the Branch Davidians. Little did the Tribune-Herald know at the time, the first article of their series set in motion the beginning of an avoidable tragedy. A tragedy that saw 76 members of the Branch Davidians lose their lives in what came to be known as the Waco tragedy of 1993. The Branch Davidians were a secretive and apocalyptic religious group that followed the teachings of an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, known as the Davidians or the Rod. Like the Davidians, the Branch Davidians believed in the seven seals from the Bible's book of Revelation and believed the apocalypse was coming. The Branch Davidians were led by David Koresh, a self-proclaimed Messiah. Koresh believed that he could save the Branch Davidians from the apocalypse. Koresh's leadership methods were unorthodox and raised some serious suspicion from outsiders. Koresh required all members living in the complex to remain celibate, while he himself was exempt from that requirement. Koresh had multiple wives and justified his polygamy as a sinful sacrifice that he took upon himself for the betterment of his followers. As public suspicion of Koresh and the Branch Davidians grew, both the Tribune-Herald and the ATF launched investigations into the Branch Davidians. The ATF's investigation began when they received an anonymous tip that there were multiple packages of unlicensed firearms at the Branch Davidian compound. The Tribune-Herald focused their investigation on Koresh himself. They interviewed multiple former Branch Davidians to gather evidence against Koresh. Among the allegations made to the Tribune-Herald by former members was that Koresh was endangering the well-being of the children who are living in the Mount Carmel compound. However, there is no concrete evidence to support claims of child endangerment, and the Tribune-Herald's reporting did not include a single interview from any current member of the Branch Davidians or Koresh himself. Despite minimal evidence supporting the claims made by former members and the inability of government authorities to verify many of the allegations, the Tribune-Herald decided to proceed with the publication of their now infamous Sinful Messiah series on Koresh and the Branch Davidians. At the time of the publication, the ATF had only obtained a warrant on the grounds of unlawful possession of firearms, nothing else. With their element of surprise gone after the publication of the first article in the Sinful Messiah series, the ATF decided to move up their raid to the day after the first article was published. What ensued was a bloody firefight and a month-long siege of the Mount Carmel compound. The siege ended after much of the compound was burned down, killing nearly every single person inside. There are serious questions raised by the Tribune-Herald's coverage of the religious group, which they framed as a sacrilegious cult. Could this tragedy have been avoided if they had avoided inflammatory rhetoric and held off on publishing until many of the allegations could be verified? Would the Tribune-Herald have even bothered investigating the Branch Davidians if they had been more a traditional religious organization? Was the entire series driven by religious bigotry? In the aftermath of the Waco tragedy, further investigation turned up no evidence that Koresh and the Branch Davidians had broken any laws. And while the Tribune-Herald came under heavy criticism for their role in the Waco tragedy, and many of the news outlets' reporters expressed regret, the Sinful Messiah series stands as a stark, if extreme, example of what can happen when a news outlet fails to do their job properly before publishing a story.